Welcome to Spark Tank. Spark Tank is a student incubator for new businesses, nonprofits, and ideas, designed to improve our community and school. Today in the tank, we have 3 groups of entrepreneurs looking for advice, mentorship, and money to bring their creative partnerships into the marketplace. Let's meet the judges. Paul Dean. Paul Dean is a partner at Ernst & Young, where he leads the banking and capital markets business transformation practice. Fernando Castellanos. The VP of Sales for American Express's Assertify. He also serves on the board of Bright Futures and All Stars New York. Yos Nabeen is a partner at Offutt Capital Management and is a member of the firm's investment committee. James Chang is a portfolio manager at a $28 billion family office, focusing on public and private equity investments primarily in the Asia-Pacific region. First up, we have Timebreak. Back to the tank with an exciting development to their time management app.
It has been a long time since we first stepped on the stage, but today we have a very special surprise for all of you.
Drum roll, please.
So, Timebreak is finally on the App Store.
Woo! Yes! I've been also working hard on advertising our app Timebreak on social media, such as Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, as well as our website.
We both agree it's really good for the MVP, but maybe we also want to ask the judges for advice since we have several versions of with different designs to see which one is better.
And lastly, we want to talk to you about our future plans and goals. So for my criteria, which is the advertising and communication, I am planning to organize a testing sessions, which will be consisted of 10 students from middle to high school at Dwight to see what they feel about our app.
You guys have come a long, long way. What was the single most difficult issue that you were faced, and how did you solve it?
I think we both agree on this, but the hardest obstacles that we ever faced was the pivoting from tech break to time break, because we realized that there are some technical issues that we cannot solve.
Hey, you have one more download.
Good, thank you.
I think the next thing for you guys to break it or make it is, I think you need to start working on a product roadmap. What you think the product wants to have, and then what the users are giving you feedback, and then you just have to set priorities of when and what goes into what release.
Okay.
It's a huge accomplishment to be here and be live. I think as you think about where you want to go from here, it's very important to have a vision as to what you want this to be. I think the shelf life of these are short, so have short-term goals. Where do you want this to be in 3 months? Where do you want this to be in 6 months? And then eventually, what's the perfect product? I also think, Drew had mentioned this previously, it's very important to think about monetization. Even though this is an app that you want to use to help people, there's nothing wrong with having a profitable app, or you can always put that to good use.
It seems like you've hit your goal. What's the next product goal for you at this point?
I guess now it's getting feedback mostly, and because now this is our ideas, we want other people, and we want to know what they think of this and what they can add.
Yeah, and also to add on to it, realistically, we want to get more downloads.
Yeah.
And I think we can get more downloads by marketing and advertising via social media.
But great job, guys. I like the new logo, too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up, we have the Dwight Business Investment Team, who will be addressing feedback received from their previous trip into the tank.
So the purpose of this presentation right now is to go over the points that you raised last Spark Tank. So that was investment strategy and summer investing and just the overall process.
Previously, we used to rely on the momentum trading methods of investment, which primarily meant that we would try to predict how the stock market would behave. We consulted with our advisor, James. He gave us advice that this is an intrinsically more riskier way of investing. So we decided to pivot. So instead, we're going to focus on more buy and hold strategy investments. This means that we'll focus more on long-term investments, ranging from 6 to 12 months.
So next is the recruitment drive. And the first step in the recruitment drive is announcements at morning meeting to attempt to get other students to actually join the club. And the next part of that process is having the people that are interested fill out a Google form with 2 questions on it, one of which is why do you want to join, the other, what experience do you have. We aim to promote more experienced and also less experienced members and take them into the club with us, so that the older and more experienced members can train the younger members, and as we all mature and us 12th graders graduate, we can have others continue the club for as long as possible.
So every week we meet on Wednesday. We spend there from 3 to 4. So first of all, we review our account. We look at our holdings, how have they fluctuated. We discuss as a group the process of our stocks and holdings. We then take a vote on whether to sell or not. We assign research to do for specific sectors where a student will choose a stock and analyze and make an argument for whether to buy.
These are the kind of clubs that they have in business school, so I think that you definitely have a leg up. You know, you're still in high school and doing this. You were talking about sort of the processes and how you're thinking about stocks, and it would be interesting, you know, as you sort of flesh out more what your research process will be. One of the things to always think about is how do you assess risk and sort of how do you size a position. I think you have a very good idea of where you want to go. The results were good, so that's very good. So congrats.
Coming back to strategy, there's a line of thought that says risk reward, right? So you can do everything prudently and try and get a reward out of it, and which is great, and you'll get great returns and you'll get some lessons learned. But there's also a thinking that says, why don't we play with the percentage of risk and therefore try something different? Have you thought about that, having a risk component in your execution strategy? And would you think about structured products like options?
The majority of our portfolio will be made of long-term investments, like maybe 75%. But I mean, we're interested in exploring more like risk-reward, like high-risk options as well. It's just that our focus would be on long-term investments, and as a result, that would probably be what we would start off with.
To the extent that you guys are going to think through the kind of strategy like we discussed, I think it'll be very helpful for you, and we can kind of sit down and talk again once you guys have gone through that. But I'm glad to see you guys are thinking more long-term.
Finally, we have 2 students with the desire to expand Spark Tank past the walls of the Dwight School.
So last time I came here, I talked to you guys about globalizing Spark Tank and franchising this program. This time I'm here to take a step backwards and start with New York City before we try to reach the entire world. And the way we want to do this is through a conference on innovation and design, which we call Sparklabs. Basically, the mission of this conference is to assist students in cultivating their ideas through providing them with technological resources.
So the format, it'll be a conference with workshops and keynotes. It'll be ticketed, it'll be a $15 fee. This is actually really similar to other tech conferences in New York City. Our 3 possible dates are December 16th, January 13th, and February 10th.
This conference is broken up into 2 sessions. Each session consists of 3 workshops. So in total, we're going to have 6 workshops. And within the workshops, they're all going to be student-led. And then a closing keynote speaker, which we're still looking for. We haven't gotten to that stage yet, but we'll go over that later. And then a dismissal at 3 o'clock, where we would hand out a gift, potentially. That's going to be like stickers or something, so students remember the conference.
You've got to pick your dates, because if you're going for students, and I think you said December, January, or February, you just got to work out, what else goes on in those months. And will you be able to get critical mass? One of the things you may consider is, if you can't get a venue, maybe you do a virtual Sparklab session, and you use social media to do it.
The thing that wasn't clear to me is the keynotes. Like, what exactly do you expect people to take out of those keynotes?
Just getting an idea of how seeing more stories of individuals who've had ideas and have brought them out of the developmental stage and even the idea stage, and really materialize their ideas.
How did you come up with what you think people or other students might be interested in?
It's based on our experience. So I've experience with SketchUp, and I've had experience with game design and Unity. Since we have experience, we can teach those workshops the way we see how to do it.
In addition to these other kind of, educational workshops and such and great keynote speakers, maybe the draw is some place for other kids in other schools to come pitch their ideas.
The content sounds really incredible. I think the way you've thought through the workshops is really exciting. I think making it a hands-on experience and sort of showing what can be done, I think, is probably key. So Blackboard would be helpful, but as sort of
Thank you.
last resort. So I really think this is exciting. I like the name, Sparklabs. I like Dwight on there too. I think that's great. But I think as long as you can figure out the logistics of it, I think the content really sounds great. And I really like the way that you've set out the day. It makes sense. I think as you flush out who's going to be the keynote speaker, who's going to be sort of all of that, I think you have a really great framework to work with.
Thank you.